underwater with a power line. The last train to running around the hill. The last train to leave.
Hey guys, this is Katie.
And this is Meredith.
And this week on Paper Jam, we're going to be using a soundtrack theme. So basically, this means that we're going to be talking about books that have been turned into movies. And we tried to pick some that were in theaters somewhat recently, so we chose Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Cohen and David Levithan, Holes by Louis Sacker, and Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. And so in this podcast, we're going to be talking about Nick and Norah. For those of you who aren't familiar with the plot, this is a book about a boy, Nick, and a girl, Norah, who are in New York City for the night, and what happens to them over the course of about 12 hours. It's a story about music, relationships, and love. So, Meredith, what was your favorite part about the book, Nick and Norah?
Oh, wow. That is a hard question. It's really difficult to choose. I guess what I really like about Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist is that it is written by two authors, Rachel and David.
Mm-hmm.
This was really cool, I thought, because it allowed for two distinct voices to be heard.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting way to write and experiment with writing. And I know that I'm so intimidated to think of writing a book or a short story on my own, but it'd be really neat to experiment the writing process alongside someone else.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it'd just be really fun to try to write like this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'll write with you, Meredith.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, that really is an interesting part of the book. And, you know, I'm just wondering, do you think that those two voices get lost in the movie? Because so much of the book is really talking about what is going on inside the characters' heads, rather than what they're saying or doing. So I wonder if that changes the story at all.
Yeah, I definitely think that it changed the story. And you can tell because the movie is just so different from the book.
Mm-hmm.
You see more of what's going on with the other characters. For example, Caroline, Nora's friend,
Yeah.
actually has a pretty big role in the movie and drives most of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Without seeing what's going on inside Nick and Nora's heads, you have to have something that causes the action, and that something in the movie really seemed to be Caroline.
Yeah, and her sick piece of gum.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was so gross. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, watch out. There are some really gross scenes involving a piece of ABC gum.
Yeah, it is super nasty, but please let's move away from the gum. I can't even handle it anymore. But also, I really loved how the book was surrounded so much with music, and the whole idea of making playlists for boyfriends, girlfriends, friends.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think of what songs I would have chosen for a crazy night out in New York City. But I really liked watching the movies so that I could hear the songs that the authors envisioned when writing the book, because I wasn't familiar with them.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool? I actually found out that Rachel and David, the authors, created an iMix for the book that you can download on iTunes.
Very
so
cool.
basically, you just go to your iTunes, click on Music, and down in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little tab for iMixes. And if you click on that and type in Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, you'll get the author's playlist for the book, which is really cool. Something really cool to listen to, maybe while you're reading it or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. How fun. So we'll definitely post a link for that on our Facebook wall, for sure.
You know, there were a lot of great parts to this book, but I'm not going to lie to you, there was a lot of explicit content that I just was not expecting.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if I've ever read the F-bomb so many times on one page. And to me, that was just really distracting. It seemed like they were so angry, but then I couldn't figure out why they were so angry.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, but I don't know, at the same time, it really helps to get into their mindset, you know, because if that's how they really talk, I could really see the difference, because I know I don't talk like that, so reading that really helped me to hear a difference and really place me into their lives. And so maybe it was just the voices that they use around their friends, and maybe if their parents were around, I guess they wouldn't have used that kind of language.
Yeah, I don't know, though. I mean, her dad uses some pretty strong language with her on the phone.
Okay.
But the
true.
language doesn't seem to be a problem with her parents. But, you know, that just made me realize that we really don't see adults in the story at all, except for maybe a few minor side characters. And that one scene on the phone where Norah is talking to her father is really the only information we get about her relationship with her parents. But I loved how this book really focused on Nick and Norah and their friends and their relationships with each other rather than an adult watching over and intervening. It really allowed them to act freely, you know, like themselves, which I guess accounts for the language.
Yeah, makes sense. But I also liked how we were able to see Norah make her decision about her future without the pressure of her parents. I thought that was, you know, a really nice little detail. And because I think when choosing something really big, like what to do after high school, yes, it is important to think about your parents and teachers and other adults. Don't get me wrong. I think having adult input is really important. But at the same time, I think it's really important to know what you want for you and make that decision, because it's going to be going with you for the rest of your life. So it's good to see in the book with her inner thoughts how she comes to that decision.
Yeah, I agree. And with the book, we could see her inner dialogue. But in the movie, we saw her actions. And I guess that's one of the best parts of comparing the movie with the book. You get a fuller spectrum of what's going on.
Yeah.
You want to know something funny, though? I thought that Nick was going to be a little hunkier. I don't know. I just thought he would be a little buffer.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I had seen a preview before I read the book, so I kind of pictured him in that role already. Plus, I don't know, I think Michael Cera is kind of a cutie, so... but I guess that is one thing about books to movies that is inevitable, I guess. When you read, you always have an image of what's going on, and the movie is never exactly what you're thinking it will be. But I guess, I don't know, if you turn it the other way around, too, if you see the movie first, then you can't get the movie characters out of your head.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, we're going to have to wrap this podcast up, but just so you know, we have included all kinds of fun links on our Facebook page that you can find if you search for Paper Jam. And be sure to check out our other podcasts about holes in Persepolis. Tune in next month, right before Thanksgiving. We'll be talking about books that show a bunch of different viewpoints of what it means to be an American.
Happy Halloween!
Last train a running between the water with a power line.